morning.
Morning, Melinda.
Okay, so I'm also going to tell a story, and I promise it's going to relate even if it doesn't seem like it will at first. Okay, so one day, like a couple months ago, it was the beginning of the year, I was walking with one of my roommates into like the school coffee shop, and she saw this little sign that was talking about like entering this little contest for like who knows what. But she looked at it and she was like, one of my goals in life, one of the things on my bucket list is to win a contest. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, are you going to enter it? And she's like, no, I probably won't win. and she was so serious. Like, it wasn't a joke at all. And I was just like, I just don't get it, right? And for me, if you guys have been, Facebook stalking me or anything, any recently, you know that I've won a few things, and it's gonna relate, I promise. But okay, so just recently, a couple years ago, I won like a Mac, like a laptop, right? And then this summer, I won. I won tickets to a Justin Bieber concert, and then just at the beginning of the school year, I won tickets to a Taylor Swift concert. And anyway, so people all the time will tell me like, "Oh, Melinda, you're so lucky. You always win stuff," and it kind of bugs me when they say that because I don't think they realize how much effort I put into it. Because I'm not being like my roommate, just saying like, I really want to win a contest, but no, I probably won't enter. And the classic example of trying really hard to win a contest was the Taylor Swift one. So there was one time, me, Steven, Jelly, and Abel were like in a car this summer, and I was like, you know what, I really want to go to a Taylor Swift concert. But the tickets are $100, right? And I'm like, I'm not even going to pay like $20 because I'm cheap and I just don't pay for stuff. But I really want to go because it'd be so much fun. I saw these videos on YouTube of what the concerts are like, and I was like, that would be so much fun. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to Google and I'm going to search Taylor Swift, Staples Center, because that's where it was, concert, blah, 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 on this day. And so I searched, and there were all these results that came up, and I literally entered every single contest. If there were ones that you do daily, I did them daily. This was during the summer, remember, so I had some time. So, there were ones where you had to listen to the radio, and Taylor Swift is, if you don't know, she's borderline country, so she's on country stations, but she's also on other ones. And I'd never listened to country before, but all these country stations had all these stations. I had all these contests, and you had to listen. So we were listening to country music. I'm not sure what my brother thought of it because I was playing country music all the time for 2 weeks, 24/7, whatever. And we'd be calling whenever they said to call, and I'd be using 3 phones. And then there was one day where there were 2 different country stations having contests, so I had to I got one on one computer and one on the other computer. And I was listening to 2 stations. It was crazy. But the point is, I tried really hard, and after 2 weeks, I won tickets. And they were $100 tickets, and I got this free camera with it too, and my dad just sold it on Amazon, and so I got $80 for that. And so, yeah. So, and now you can see why, and some of those things, I woke up at 6 in the morning, because it was listen to the radio at 6 a.m. and call in. I was trying really hard. So now you can understand why when someone says, Melinda, you're so lucky, you win so much stuff, I'm like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. So, where I'm getting with that is, okay, kind of making the connection. A lot of times when, at least for me, and I'm pretty sure that other people do it too, a lot of times we see people that seem to have this really good connection with God. They seem to be a really spiritual person, and they seem that they've got it all together, that you just, you see them praying all the time, and you're like, oh, that person has such a great relationship with God. I wish that I was that close to God as they are, And it was just recently that I started realizing, maybe it's the same thing. Maybe they put in a lot of effort. And so I feel a lot of us do that. We want to be as spiritual as some of these other people we see. And the problem is that we're just not putting in that effort. Because like Abel and Jelly were talking about, God is a generous God. He's always He has so many blessings ready for us. And I guess this is kind of weird, but like, you've heard the phrase like friendship is a two-way street. Works the same with God. So he's always there. He's always ready to give us these blessings. And then sometimes it's just we're not putting the effort to, in a way, receive them. And you think that's kind of weird, like, oh, I want to receive stuff. But sometimes because it's like, we feel like it's just too much work. And I was looking up and like the title of my message, Active Pursuit. Like, we're not actively pursuing. We're just kind of like, yeah, I want a good relationship with God. Yeah, I'm gonna go to church, and and so I was looking up these statistics online, and the Varner Research Group, which you've like seen stats with before, they interviewed people identified as born-again Christians based on their beliefs. So they're not people who said they were Christian, just said it that way. They were people who, like, based on what they believed, they're Christians. And out of them, this was just this summer, 59% go to church every week. Only 62% read the Bible outside of church events, and 29% volunteer at church. And so I was just looking at those stats and thinking, like, so all these people, like, everyone they interviewed was a Bible-believing Christian, like a born-again Christian. But yet, it's like 62% read the Bible outside of church. And so just thinking about that, that's like having a relationship with someone and all you do is talk to them and you don't let them talk at all, So different things like that. And the scripture, James 2:17, says, faith by itself, if not accompanied by action, is dead. And I think a lot of times we focus on, like, when we're doing, like, EE, like evangelism explosion class, it's talking about, like, heaven, like, oh, you get to heaven by faith, it's not by works. And sometimes, it can go either way. Some people focus on one more than the other. But I think a lot of times we're focusing on, like, oh yeah, to get to heaven, all I have to do is have faith. But then it's like we forget about this relationship part and, like, what we have to do to be pursuing a relationship with God. And so in that research I was looking up online with the stats, there was also this quote from, it was this guy who, I forgot his name, it didn't matter, but he designs church buildings, and so he realized that there's a lot of focus on technology now, because he always has to, like, put in all these, like, sound systems and, like, the PowerPoint and these really cool, extra cool-looking stuff. And so what he said was, after everything is said and done, it will always come down to the walk. And that walk must be with a few close friends who are doing real life with each other, holding one another accountable. Jesus modeled it with the 12 disciples. So just thinking about how Jesus, like, he was, even though it seems like, oh yeah, he's God, like, he didn't have to, like, actively pursue anything. But no, he was actively pursuing his relationship with his Father. And so he is, like, the perfect example of what we should be doing, pursuing that relationship. Whether it's, like, what this guy was talking about was, like, being with a group of believers and having them keep you accountable to read the Bible, to pray, whatever it is, like, whatever your way to actively pursue is. And then I was talking to this guy the other day at school, and he was talking about how, like, he wasn't, like, doing too well, like, things weren't going that great for him. And I said, but it seems like, now I'm, like, hypocritical here, because this is what I'm talking about, but I said something like, but it seems like you're so, like, you have a lot of faith right now, like, I don't really know how to say it, but, like, you have a lot of faith, it seems like you're really pursuing God. And he was like, yeah, I have really good faith right now, I have a really good relationship with God, because my life is horrible right now. and I was like, shocked at first, and I started thinking about it. And in a way that's true, like, when our life isn't going too well, when things are stressing us out, when relationships aren't working, when we have a lot of work to do, that's oftentimes when our relationship with God is the best, because we're relying on Him, like, we have nothing else to do but to rely on Him. And so, yeah, another quote from that guy in the research I was doing, it says, we, like, as Americans, as people who have things, all of us have things, we have too much to keep us at a dangerous level of comfort that we don't want to or don't see the need to surrender at this level. It's like, whoa, that's deep. So it's like when we have so much, it's like you don't see the need for God. But then at the same time, we're still looking at those other people going like, I wish I had that kind of relationship with God, when at the same time we're not doing anything about it. So, yeah, I don't have like this big happy boom conclusion, but but to get you guys thinking about just actively pursuing that relationship with God, and not just realizing that things take effort. And I don't want you guys to come out of this going like, okay, I'm going to enter all these contests because if I try really hard, I'll win. But hopefully seeing that comparison, and how like by putting in that effort to just have that relationship with God, not just like, oh, I believe, I'm going to go to church, but like really making that part of what you do. And so just leaving you with a final thing. If you don't enter a contest, you're not going to win. And it's the same thing with God. So, yeah. Yep.